All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're tackling something absolutely crucial from the source material: how to literally, systematically renew our minds. We're going to unpack the incredible depth of Colossians chapter 3, using this amazing metaphor of a spiritual wardrobe. You know, if you've ever felt like your thoughts are just spiraling out of control or you're trapped in old, toxic habits, this framework, it's a total game changer. We're going to break down exactly how you can tailor your mind to really align with a heavenly perspective. So let me ask you this right off the bat. What does it actually mean to think like Christ? It's super easy to wear the bracelets and say, what would Jesus do? But as our source points out, you literally can't know what he would do until you know how he thinks, right? So today, we're moving way past those superficial religious checklists. We're going straight to the foundational text to see how the mind of Christ operates and exactly how we're instructed to adopt it for ourselves. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First up, setting your mind above. Second, avoiding regurgitated teaching. Third, taking off the old. Fourth, putting on the new. And finally, number 5, the perfect bond of unity. Let's start with section 1, setting your mind above. Check out this theological timeline for the believer. It operates in 3 distinct tenses. The source material makes it super clear that your past is already completely secure. You have died to your old self. You're hidden with Christ. Boom, finished work. Your future, also fully guaranteed. You'll be revealed with him in glory. So what does that actually mean for us right now? Well, because the past and future are totally locked in, you can take all your present energy and pour it directly into the daily, ongoing process of renewing your mind. And here's where it gets really interesting. The Greek word used for set your mind is phroneo. It literally means to exercise the mind, to be mentally disposed in a specific direction. So here's the kicker. Setting your mind is not some passive, warm, fuzzy feeling that just washes over you. No, it's a highly intentional, active workout. You are actively choosing where to point your mental affections, actively stepping away from the default settings of our human nature. Which brings us to section 2, avoiding regurgitated teaching. The source drops a really direct challenge here. Stop eating regurgitated spiritual food. I mean, yuck, right? Think about how unappetizing that sounds. But honestly, that's exactly what happens when we live entirely on secondhand teachings. You know, online clickbait, gossip sites, or wild speculative prophecies, instead of actually reading the text ourselves. There are 66 books in the Bible, and the explainer sources argue we've got to be reading them directly. Taking someone else's chewed-up, out-of-context hot take leaves you completely spiritually malnourished. You have to go to the source to truly understand the mind of Christ. It's a stark contrast, really. On one side, you've got earthly fixations. When you're constantly scrolling through speculative, fear-mongering media and outrage, your nervous system just gets totally unregulated. You're living in a state of chaos. But on the flip side, heavenly focus. Engaging in direct study and looking at the actual character of Christ brings profound peace. Jesus is literally the Prince of Peace. So if you want peace in your life, you have to spend time setting your mind on peaceful things. Moving right along to section 3, taking off the old. To really get how we take off that old self, we need to look at another amazing Greek word from the text, crypto. It means to conceal or hide. The source highlights that, as believers, our lives are securely hidden in Christ. And because you are perfectly safe and concealed in him, you finally have the freedom and the power to just strip off those old, destructive ways of living. You don't need them for armor or identity anymore. So what exactly are we throwing out? Well, the text doesn't pull any punches. It lists the exact physical and internal sins to eliminate. We're talking sexual immorality. The Greek word is porneia, which covers all behaviors outside the bounds of marriage. It also calls out impurity, lustful passions, evil desires, and greed. And notice how it says greed actually amounts to idolatry because you're putting material stuff or power above the Creator. These are the default settings of the earthly sons of disobedience, and they literally have to be put to death. And the teardown continues. We have to address the verbal and emotional sins too. We're told to drop anger, wrath, malice, and slander. Pay really close attention to filthy, degrading communication and lying. The sources make a great point here about how degrading language, like how people, especially women, are often spoken down to or sexualized in modern culture, goes completely against Christ's pure nature. Jesus didn't degrade people. He didn't lie. So to think like him, those verbal weapons belong in the trash. All right, section 4, putting on the new. Just look at the visual contrast here. On the left is our default earthly state: angry, greedy, lying, malicious. But on the right, the heavenly traits we are actually commanded to wear: compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience. The Greek word used here implies slipping into clothes, like throwing on your absolute favorite shirt. You have to intentionally choose to dress your mind in these new virtues every single day. Let's unpack a few of these, starting with compassion. The roots of this word are absolutely fascinating. It's not just a fleeting thought of, oh, that's so sad. The Greek implies this intense, visceral, emotional movement right from your gut. It's a deep, tender concern for someone in distress that actually forces you to act. Kind of like the Good Samaritan, right? He was moved from the gut to help a stranger. Next up is kindness, or trostoses. Listen, biblical kindness is not just plastering on a fake, polite smile. The definition here is literally usefulness. It means being morally excellent in your character and demeanor. True kindness is rolling up your sleeves and being tangibly useful to the people around you. Then we throw on humility, gentleness, and patience. The sources define humility as being teachable, deferring to others, refusing to be the know-it-all in the room, and patience, macrothemia, absolutely vital. Just think about Jesus for a second. He embodied perfect humility and patience when dealing with those incredibly hostile, manipulative religious leaders, not to mention his own disciples' constant human mess-ups. He had every right to respond with pure wrath, but he chose to wear humility, and we're called to do the exact same thing. Finally, Section 5, the perfect bond of unity. The source text gives us a super practical step-by-step guide for keeping unity in the church. Step 1, bear with one another. Which, let's be real, literally means tolerating the faults and annoyances of the people around you. Step 2, forgive anyone who offends you. Why? Because you have to mirror exactly how Christ forgave you. And Step 3, put on agape love. That's the perfect bond that holds this entire spiritual wardrobe together. When you put on love, you hit this beautiful state. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts and be thankful. The sources point out that practicing deep, daily gratitude and letting Christ's peace act as the umpire of your heart, that is the ultimate antidote to all the anxiety, division, and chaos we see out in the world today. Grateful people who are heavily focused on heaven, they just don't have time to get sucked into earthly panic. At the end of the day, it all boils down to the main theme of our explainer: make much of Christ. What a powerful motto from the source material. The Christian walk isn't about making much of ourselves or proving we're the smartest or holiest. It's about setting our minds completely on Jesus, learning how he actually thinks, adopting his character, and reflecting his light out into the world. That is the singular, defining goal of a transformed mind. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, provocative question to chew on. Where are you setting your mind today? Are you sitting around consuming regurgitated fear and chaos? Or are you actively putting on the compassion, kindness, and peace of the new self? The spiritual wardrobe is right there waiting for you. It's up to you to put it on. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep setting your mind on things above.